My father forced me to keep the secret of his affair to avoid destroying our family, but that silence ended up breaking all of us. My father didn't beg me to keep his secret. He warned me. He told me that if I spoke the truth, I would be the reason our family fell apart. I believed him, so I stayed quiet. And that decision changed everything. I'm writing this now because I've spent years carrying a secret that was never supposed to be mine. For a long time, I convinced myself that silence was the right thing to do, that protecting my family meant protecting my father. But silence doesn't erase the truth. It just moves the damage somewhere else. In my case, it moved into me. This is the story of how I discovered my father's affair, how I was forced into becoming the keeper of his secret, and how that secret slowly destroyed our family from the inside. From the outside, my family looked stable. My dad was respected, calm, the kind of man people trusted without question. My mom was devoted. She held everything together without ever complaining. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. We had routines, dinners together, weekend habits. Nothing about our life suggested there was something rotten underneath. That's why I never questioned my father, not until I accidentally saw something I wasn't meant to see. I was 16, old enough to understand what I was seeing, and young enough to be terrified by it. One afternoon, I borrowed my dad's phone. Mine had died, and I needed to call a friend. That's when the notification appeared, a message, not from my mom. It wasn't explicit. It didn't need to be. It was intimate in a way that made my stomach drop. The kind of message you only send to someone you're hiding. I didn't want to believe it, so I kept scrolling. And that's when denial stopped being an option. That night I confronted him. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just asked one question. Who is she? My father went silent. Not angry, not shocked, just calculating. He sat me down and spoke to me like I was an adult. And that's what scared me the most. He told me it was complicated, that it didn't mean anything, that telling my mother would destroy everything she worked for. Then he said something I will never forget. If you love this family, you'll keep this to yourself. That was the moment my childhood ended. Because suddenly I wasn't just a son anymore. I was a secret keeper. Every dinner after that felt fake. Every laugh felt heavy. I watched my mother trust him. I watched him lie effortlessly. And I stayed quiet. Not because I agreed with him, but because I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't. I thought silence would protect us. I was wrong. Keeping my father's secret didn't make life easier. It made everything heavier. At first, I thought I could just ignore it, act like nothing had changed. But secrets don't stay quiet. They rot. And the rot starts showing in places you don't expect. My father became different, not guilty, controlling. He started watching what I said, listening more than he spoke. If I stayed out too late, he asked questions. If I seemed distracted at dinner, he stared. It wasn't concern. It was surveillance. He wasn't afraid of losing my mother. He was afraid of losing control over me. My mother noticed the change before I did. She would ask why he was always tense, why he snapped over small things. He blamed work. He blamed stress. And she believed him. Watching that was worse than the secret itself, because now I wasn't just lying, I was participating in the lie. The first real fight happened over something stupid. I forgot to take out the trash. My father exploded. Not yelled, exploded. He accused me of being careless, ungrateful, disrespectful, and then he said it. After everything I do for this family, My mother stepped in. She told him to calm down, told him he was scaring me. That only made it worse. He slammed his hand on the table. The room went silent. I remember thinking, this is what the secret sounds like. After that, fights became normal. Short, sharp, like knives you didn't see coming. Sometimes it was between them, sometimes it was directed at me. Once my mother asked him directly if there was someone else. I wasn't in the room, but I heard it. The way she said it wasn't angry, it was tired. He denied it immediately. Too fast. Too practiced. That night, he came into my room. He closed the door behind him and reminded me of my responsibility. He didn't threaten me. He didn't have to. He just asked, "You wouldn't hurt your mother like that, right?" That sentence lived in my head for months. I stopped sleeping well. I started avoiding home. School felt easier than sitting at dinner, at least there. I didn't have to pretend. My mother started crying more, not loudly, quietly, in the kitchen, in the shower. I would hear it through the walls, and I said nothing. One night they had a fight that didn't end quietly. Voices were raised, accusations flew. My mother said she felt invisible. My father said she was overreacting. And then she asked again, "Is there someone else?" There was a pause, a long one. I was standing in the hallway, frozen. He denied it again, and I watched her accept a lie she didn't believe. That's when I realized something. The secret wasn't protecting her. It was isolating her, and it was turning me into someone I didn't recognize. I wasn't just quiet anymore. I was complicit, and the guilt was starting to feel heavier than the fear. As time passed, the secret stopped feeling like something I was hiding. It started feeling like something that was hiding inside me. My father's affair didn't stay in the background anymore. It began shaping how we lived, what we said, what we avoided. He became paranoid in small, unsettling ways. If my mother used his phone, he watched her hands. If she asked about his schedule, he answered with irritation instead of clarity. He wasn't trying to be careful. He was trying to stay ahead of the truth. One evening, my mother asked me if I thought my dad was acting strange. She didn't accuse. She asked like someone checking their own sanity. I remember the exact moment. We were alone in the car, waiting at a red light. She looked exhausted. And for half a second, I almost told her everything. But then I heard my father's voice in my head. "You'll destroy her." So I lied. I told her she was imagining things. The light turned green, and something inside me shut down. After that, my relationship with my mother changed. She trusted me, and I hated myself for it. My father started crossing lines he never crossed before. He would criticize my mother openly, correct her, dismiss her, sometimes in front of me. It felt intentional, like he was trying to lower her confidence before the truth could reach her. One night during dinner, she challenged him. She said she felt lonely even when he was sitting right there. He laughed. Not kindly. He said she was being dramatic. That word hit her hard. She pushed her chair back and left the table. He followed her. Voices rose. I stayed where I was, staring at my plate, counting my breaths. Then I heard something break. Not glass. Something heavier. The fight ended abruptly. My father came back into the room alone. He looked at me and said nothing. That silence was louder than yelling. After that night, my mother changed. She became quieter, more cautious. She stopped asking questions she already knew the answers to. I saw her start checking herself, her clothes, her tone, her reactions, like she was trying to figure out what she had done wrong. And I knew the truth. I knew she hadn't done anything wrong. That knowledge made me angry in ways I didn't understand yet. My grades dropped. I snapped at friends. Teachers asked if something was wrong at home. I said no every time. One afternoon, my father and I had a confrontation that changed everything. He accused me of being distant, said I was acting ungrateful. I asked him why he was so afraid all the time. He didn't like that. He grabbed my arm, not violently, but firmly enough to make his point clear. He told me I didn't understand adult problems, that families survive because people know when to stay quiet. I pulled away, and for the first time I saw fear in his eyes. Not fear of losing us, fear of being exposed. That's when I realized something important. I wasn't protecting my family anymore. I was protecting him, and he knew it. The atmosphere in the house became unbearable. Even silence felt aggressive. My mother stopped laughing entirely. When she smiled, it looked forced, like a habit she hadn't broken yet. One weekend, she packed a small bag and said she was staying with her sister for a few days. My father pretended not to care, but he watched the door long after she left. That night, he drank more than usual. He started talking, not confessing, justifying. He said marriage was complicated, that people made mistakes, that loyalty wasn't as simple as movies made it seem. I listened, and for the first time, I didn't feel scared. I felt disgusted, because he wasn't sorry. He was rationalizing. When my mother came back, something was different. She was calmer. Too calm. She hugged me longer than usual and asked me a question that I wasn't prepared for. She asked if there was anything I wanted to tell her. I opened my mouth, and nothing came out. The look on her face told me she understood more than I thought. That night, I realized the secret was no longer just destroying my family. It was destroying me, and I didn't know how much longer I could carry it. I reached a point where the fear of staying silent became heavier than the fear of speaking. The house didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a stage where everyone was playing a role they hated. My father kept pretending nothing was wrong. My mother kept pretending she believed him. And I kept pretending I wasn't the reason the lie was still alive. The moment everything finally broke wasn't dramatic. There was no screaming, no slamming doors, just a quiet realization that something had to end. It happened on an ordinary evening. My mother was folding laundry. My father was in the shower, and I was sitting there watching her hands shake. She looked at me and asked, one last time, if there was anything I wanted to tell her. She didn't sound suspicious. She sounded tired of waiting for the truth. I told her everything. Not all at once, not perfectly. The words came out broken and uneven, but once they started, I couldn't stop them. I told her how I found out, what he said to me, how long I had been silent. She didn't cry. She didn't interrupt me. She just listened. When I finished, she hugged me and whispered something I will carry for the rest of my life. She said, "This was never your burden." My father didn't deny it when she confronted him. He tried to explain, to minimize, to justify, but the power he once had was gone. The secret no longer protected him, it exposed him. The argument that followed wasn't loud. It was controlled, cold. My mother asked questions she already knew the answers to. My father answered like someone realizing he had already lost. That night, he slept on the couch. A week later, he moved out. Not because my mother yelled, not because of anger, but because she chose clarity over comfort. The aftermath wasn't clean or easy. There were awkward holidays, long silences, conversations that ended too soon. My father tried to rebuild his image. My mother tried to rebuild herself, and I tried to forgive myself. The hardest part wasn't losing the family I thought I had. It was understanding that silence had cost me years of peace. My relationship with my mother changed after that. Not broken. Honest. She stopped doubting herself, and I stopped carrying a secret that never belonged to me. I still think about the boy I was at 16, the one who believed silence was loyalty. If I could speak to him now, I would tell him this: protecting the truth is not the same as protecting a lie. And love should never demand your silence. If you're reading this and carrying someone else's secret, ask yourself who you're really protecting. Because sometimes the truth doesn't destroy families, it just exposes what was already broken.